should be...
Les quiero presentar, un momentín, les quiero presentar a Philip Jin, que parece que está muy impaciente por empezar a hablar y a contarnos acerca del contexto económico europeo. Él es director general de Enterprise and Industry. Well, hi. I try to speak with you in English. And can you make us some analytics about the economic European context?
We are coming from a crisis which has been starting in 2008. In 2008 and 2009, we were not dreaming that the situation of the economy should be as good as it is for the moment. We are thinking that we should be looking at a collapse from some sectors, the car sectors, for example, in the Basque countries, or the mechanical sectors. And thanks God, that has not been happening. It's true that the companies are in better shape. The companies are working well. They are performing well in terms of exports. What is embarrassing is that we see that there is growth for the companies, but there is a growth without new capacity to create jobs. So it's why we have these so high figures in terms of employment. The second element, which is really embarrassing, is that the private companies are in good shape now because they have been restructuring, especially in 2009, 2010 and 2011. They have been supported by the governments in Spain, in France, in Germany. Now what is problematic is the financial situation of the countries, not of the companies. And what is also a trend which is really problematic is of course the fact also that we don't know so well how the finance of the countries are going to resist if there is, I should say, new tension, especially in terms of employment. So to summarize, the situation of the economy is far better than what we were expecting at the beginning of the crisis, especially for the private company. But if it has been the case, unfortunately, they have not been able to create new jobs, so the level of employment remained very high. And the second factor, which is negative, is also that the public administration, they are still facing huge deficits, which could be, of course, of impact on the competitive for the future.
But think about the collapse. Do you think we have learned something about it?
When the crisis has been starting, we were always thinking that the main competitors for the companies, for example, in the Basque Country, were the companies in US and in Japan. Now, we know that the competition is far broader. When the crisis has been starting, the governance was the G8 governance. Now we don't speak so much about the G8, but we speak about the G20. Everybody is aware, and I'm sure that everybody is aware in your Congress, that we have to look at also the capacity of China, India, Brazil, South America, what they are going to do in terms of competition. So in that sense, we have learned a lot. We have learned that the competition is going to be difficult. And as we are going now to compete with countries where the element of a cost is something that we cannot support, we are able to produce goods and services far cheaper than we are able to do in Europe. We have to invest somewhere else. It's not only a question of cost, it's a question of quality, it's a question of services, it's a question of innovation, it's a question of technology. And as long as we are investing in quality, services, technology or research, we can still have a lead. If we don't do that, there is, of course, a prospect that we are going to lose the competition vis-à-vis this country on which we are not able to support the capacity to produce cheaper in huge quantity, first for the market which is used, second for our market. I suspect that we have learned that. And when I see, for example, how some of the companies, for example, in the car sectors, in the Basque Country, are still now able to export in China and in South Korea. That means in the country which are the more difficult, I suspect it's because they have learned that it was not enough to produce cheap goods, but it was absolutely necessary to invest on product of quality, which will be also attractive for consumer as the consumers which are the ones which are existing in Asia.
But do you trust in cheap goods?
Most of when we buy goods, we really make a choice between two types of goods. When we buy clothing, for example, we are able to buy a t-shirt which is for less than €1. And then if we do that, that means the price is the main factor. But we are also able to buy goods which are, shall say, attractive for the design.
Design, okay.
Or attractive by the quality, or attractive by what it is as an element of innovation. And most of the time, we can buy both of them. The added value, of course, is not going to be the same. The added value for a product which is coming from Desigual, for example, which is investing a lot in innovation, design, colors, marketing, services when we go to the shop, is going to be higher, and the margin of the company, of course, is going to be higher. We have to forget that we should be able to compete for the t-shirt of €1, but there is a demand for something else, even on textile. We can say the same for anything, banking, cars, bicycle. We can even want to buy a bicycle which is very cheap, which is produced in China, but there is a huge market for sophisticated bicycles, which are innovative, having a design which is quite appropriate with regard to what we are looking for in order to do all that we can. And we are back to the key factors, the quality, the service, the technology which is in it, and the research which has been permitting to try to have such a technology. And I suspect it has been understood. And in that sense, yes, we have been learning from the crisis, and that we have learned from the crisis in order to be better equipped for the new stage of competition which are going to come in the near future.
Okay, I invite you to take out your crystal ball and say some trends of economic European.
Surprisingly, when you go abroad outside Europe, everybody must be impressed by the fact that you find everywhere European brands. If you go to China, you will find European cars, French yogurt, Italian perfumes, clothing coming from Spain. And it must be very surprising, even for us, because we are not equipped for that. We are always expecting that in China, we are consuming only
Chinese
products. There is a huge middle class which is starting to be created in India, in China, in Brazil, in Argentina. And the first thing that they want to have at one moment in time, where the income is going to be above $1,000, is to have the access of what is a symbol of quality innovations that we are able to do in Europe. Being on textile, being on dressing, being on furniture, being on elements which are permitting them to have a style of living which is slightly different from the one. As we are doing it, it's not fun to buy only a t-shirt for €1. It's the same for us as it is for the Chinese. It's a lot of fun when we are able to buy a car which is not only beautiful, but also innovative and different from the one of the others. And I suspect that is a trend that we are going to see. And in that sense, we have a potential for these types of quality, technology, research product, which is far bigger than the potential that we had in Europe. If we are looking at, for example, the potential of a Chinese market, we are estimating that in the near future, 300 million people from China are going to become middle class, and their first dream is to try to have access to a lot of goods which are produced in Europe. Or if they are not produced in Europe, they are going to be produced in China, but with a technology which is the one which is existing in Europe.
Pues gracias. No, ya, ahora cambiamos el chip otra vez, volvemos al castellano, que todo el mundo sabe que usted sí que entiende todo lo que nosotros le contamos en castellano. Gracias por estar aquí, compartir su tiempo y sobre todo darnos esas pequeñas pinceladas acerca de China, ¿no? Que parece que siempre habíamos pensado que los productos chinos solamente ocupaban China, pero bueno, parece ser que no. Pues lo dicho, gracias por estar aquí con todos nosotros.
Mucho gusto.